This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello and welcome everybody back to Entertainment Hour here on the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I know it's been a couple weeks, but it's been a very, very busy couple weeks. So, do apologize. But hey, at least we're on tonight, So anyway, my mind's not here. I am your host, Dragon Viper. And my co-host here, Crispy Bacon. How you doing, man?
I am good. Yeah, it's been a few weeks, but we're back and we got a lot to catch up on and talk about, and hope you guys enjoy it.
Awesome. Definitely been a busy couple weeks. It's like, last week we ended up going up to Lincoln City and Newport and Tillamook area, and, here in Oregon, and I had a great time up there. And definitely been traveling, doing stuff, and working on the house here, cleaning and whatever else needs done. So anyway, so as like always, we start off with Chris explaining what shows we have on this network. So go ahead, man.
Yeah, so tonight's Entertainment Hour. Tomorrow will be on deck. First week of the MLB season is underway. We'll recap that. Sunday's Between the Ropes. Monday, you also have C2C at night. This week, though, you'll have our March Madness watch along, with the final two teams in there, seeing who's going to be the national champion. You also have on Tuesday C2C Rankum with Big B and Tim, and then Thursday, I think that's it. So.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. I am wondering when Ace is going to end up coming back with, some, round table or random show or, whatever he likes to do,
Yeah, but I'm sure some shows will come back, soon, and I know he's dealing with some stuff. So.
Yeah, he's going through him as since, I work for the same company as him. I know him as, Wade's been going through some things, but, I'm sure they'll bounce back and Ace will be back to do his shows pretty soon. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start off with the news. First off, I mean, we have been gone a couple weeks, so there has been a couple deaths in the entertainment world. First off is George Foreman, former boxer, former, entrepreneur for his grill. And I completely forgot about this, but I heard it this morning from a coworker. He had said that I guess they had he had pretty much, I guess, named all his kids George Foreman or something like that. So I thought that was kind
of heard that, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think I'd, do that to my own kids, but, and so, I mean, he passed away a couple weeks ago, and he was 76 years old. I tried looking up for a reason behind his passing, but it's still unknown of what happened. So, he'll be missed. I had a conversation with my mom about Richard Chamberlain because I have no idea who it is, but she wanted to have me mention him because, he is a former actor and he did pass away a few days ago. But I had no idea who it was. I kind of, joked with her and said, yeah, he's from the movies from the 40s, kind of thing. So, but yeah, he did pass away a couple days ago, 90 years old from a stroke. And then the one that hit me because I thought he was in my top 10 of all-time favorite actors, Val Kilmer, which was a shock to me because back in I think it was 2014, and I know I'm getting these years wrong, but 2014 he had throat cancer. He went and had I'm trying to think, a tracheotomy, however you pronounce it. So he had, his voice, the only way he could talk at that point was using a voice box, but he did end up going into remission with his cancer. And, of all things to take him, and have him with him passing away was pneumonia. So I know pneumonia is can kill. I had pneumonia. It scared me to death last year.
I had it before too.
Yeah, it's scary.
More than once, but yeah, I've had it.
Well, it's scary. It's scary when you hear all these people dying from pneumonia. It's like, I don't want to die kind of thing. And so it's kind of scary having it. But it didn't kill me, so I'm good. And obviously it didn't kill you either, so you're good too. But I do feel bad for the Val Kilmer family. It was unexpected. I just happened to scroll through Facebook and somebody on there ended up saying that he passed away. I did my fact check like I usually do through TMZ, and it was true. So
I do that too, actually.
Yeah, because there's, you go on Facebook, they're saying people are dying left and right. And, you have to check your facts before you believe it. So, and I did just that.
I checked different places, but yeah.
But, and I really enjoyed his acting. I admit I didn't watch a lot of his movies, but I did watch some. And he was an incredible actor, some movies more than others, but he will be missed. And he was 65, so it's sad that we end up losing him. And there's going to be a few things that I'm going to talk about when it comes to either one of his movies or him, so throughout the show. So
yeah, that's a little bit of a tease because he's going to be one of our categories later on. So.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm kind of being biased because he was one of my favorites. So
That's okay.
So anyway, and what are your thoughts about these three people passing away?
Definitely George Foreman and Val Kilmer are probably the two. I mean, they're all surprises, but and out of the blue, hearing all those passings, but I think the two that surprised most people, I think, were Val Kilmer and George Foreman. Because no one really heard of anything wrong with either one of them or all three of them. And, they'll definitely be missed. All of them were, at the top of their industries, and things won't just be the same anymore.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I would have liked to see more Val Kilmer movies, and I'm sure there's probably going to be a few more that I'll end up watching, but you know, down the road. But he definitely will be missed, and so will the other two that had passed away. So, moving on. There's couple other news stories. They're pretty short, but first off, for those that have watched WWE, WWF in the past, you all know Mankind. Dude
I've heard
Love,
this.
Cactus Jack, Mick Foley. You know Mick Foley, the actual person. On April 1st, no April Fool's joke here. But April 1st, he ended up getting into a car accident. I saw a couple of his pictures of the car and that he had posed in front of, and it looked pretty banged up.
It was total.
Yeah, it was definitely totaled the way the picture looked. The pictures looked. And he did survive, obviously, if he was posing in front of the car. Had no serious injuries. He's doing fine, but I just wanted to bring that up for anybody that knew who he was or
He
is.
did have a concussion, though.
Yeah, he did. He did have a concussion, but it surprised me that that's all he had, with how banged up his car was. So, definitely walked away lucky on that one. And then the other one I have, another short one. So people, I don't know, people have a death wish, they're too risky, or I don't know. So a circus performer near Cairo, Egypt, he was doing a performance I guess he routinely does or something, and he put his arm in a tiger cage. I don't know if that part he does on a normal basis. I didn't see that, or end up, it wasn't what I was reading. And so I don't know if it was a normal thing or if he was being spontaneous and trying to be funny. I don't know what, but he put his arm into the tiger cage and thought it was a good idea to do so. He got bit by the tiger. He got bit so bad, it took a little bit for the tiger to release the bite. And the end result in that ended up being he ended up getting his arm amputated. So, honestly, I couldn't be a performer doing something like that, knowing the fact that there are, people have jobs out there, cops, firefighters, even what I do, I could end up injured with my job.
Mm-hmm.
But,
WWE wrestlers could get injured.
Exactly. They have.
I know.
Some have passed away and things like that. But to be a circus performer, I don't think I could do that.
No.
Especially when you're.
Go ahead.
Especially when you're dealing with a dangerous animal. Now, do I like dangerous animals? Yes, I like tigers. I like lions. I like bears. I like anything dangerous. But I'm not going to
be.
on TV, or if it's in a cage or something. I'm not going to be dumb enough to go and say, hey, look at this, and put myself in harm's way, knowing something could happen. I mean, I don't know.
Or be like, I dare you to get in that cage.
Exactly.
No.
I mean, I'm halfway not wanting to go into a shark cage. Be caged up and see, go in the ocean and see all these sharks swimming around, because eventually they do end up hurting the person inside the cage too. So
be like Chris Jericho in the cage and hanging up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, the guy, like I said, the guy ended up losing his arm, and this happened a couple days ago, and I think he's kind of regretting it now. What do you think?
Definitely regretting it. We were close to a I can't remember. Remember the two performers that had the white tiger?
Yeah, Siegfried and Roy.
Yeah. Okay, that was almost that situation. Maybe not
Well, see,
that extreme, but
the thing is, Siegfried and Roy, they have dealt with their tigers for decades. They were used to it. They were good at what they were doing. They knew how to deal with it, except for one slip up, and one of them got bit. I can't remember which one it was, but one of them got bit. But they were good at what they were doing.
yeah, but as we hear a lot of times, it only takes once.
Yeah, exactly. One slip up one time, and you're gonna get hurt.
Definitely.
So yeah, I would never do something like that. I would kind of want to because I love adrenaline, but
Ride a roller
not,
coaster.
yeah, not so much wanting to go, hey, I'm gonna do this now. Let's and then I end up getting hurt and I lose a limb. So that would not be fun.
No.
So
No.
anyway, those are the news that I had for this week. And now we're moving on to Where Are They Now? Now, have you seen Step by Step?
Been a while, but yeah.
Okay, so you know who these characters are. Step by Step. It's a widowed, wife meeting a widowed husband on a cruise. They get together. They get married. They combine the kids under one roof, and you have the mom having two girls and one boy, the dad having two boys and one girl, and they pretty much have to coexist under one roof.
Which, it was like Brady Bunch in a way.
Yeah,
not totally, but
well, in a way, it was. It was like Brady Bunch. Man meets woman. They both have kids. They join in. They get married and join in one house. And then later down the road, you have the cousin of the husband or the nephew of the husband moving in and hanging out for a little while. And they go back and forth and, with their clashes and arguments and everything else, just like a normal family would. So great TV show. Definitely, started in the 90s, ended in the 90s. I think it ran 7 seasons, I believe I read. But anyway, so where are they now? Well, we have the dad, Frank Lambert, who was played by Patrick Duffy. Now, this surprised me because, and I'll get to that in a second. What he's doing now is traveling with his partner, kind of wife, I guess. In one sense, it's his wife, and in another sense, it's his partner. So I'm assuming wife. And then spending more time. He spends more time in Colorado, which is his partner's home. Then he has a ranch in Oregon. Now, I couldn't find exactly where in Oregon his ranch was, but I'm shocked that he actually has one in Oregon. Although I get pretty shocked that celebrities live in Oregon because Oregon kind of is terrible. And then also spends their time in Los Angeles. He has his own business, and it's titled Duffy's Dough. And he is still acting and attending fan conventions to this day. So, the guy that played the father on Step by Step, he played a character on Dallas. He's still acting, and he's getting pretty old. So
I got a question on that. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
Oh,
I was going to go like, who shot JR?
oh yeah. I heard about it. I never watched that show, but I did hear about it.
Right. Me too.
Then we have Carol Lambert. God rest her soul, Suzanne Summers. She did pass away a couple years ago, October 15th of 23 at age 76. The sad thing is she passed away one day before her 77th birthday. So, I mean, it's sad that happened. It was she had breast cancer. And I mean, she did act in a few other movies before she passed away. So, I mean, that's pretty much, it for her. And then we have TJ Lambert, who's played by Brandon Call. This actually surprises me because he goes from a celebrity working on a TV show to doing a normal job, which you don't hear a lot of people do. Like normal job, as in he now works at a gas station, his parents' gas station. So
Okay.
yeah, you hear people going and they're directing, they're going and running stores and teaching. This guy actually goes and works at his parents' gas station. Now that's something that I didn't expect. He's retired and he lives in San Diego. He's also raising his daughter. So kudos to him for, actually doing a real job, and that all of us others have to do.
But I'm sure if you really needed really needed the money,
Yeah.
you go back to acting. I mean,
well, yeah, and I'm sure he's I think I read he's like in his late 40s, 49 or something like that. And if he really wanted to, he could fall back into acting. I'm sure Hollywood would take him back. So, and then we have Stacy Keenan, who played Dana Foster, one of the sisters. She is now a lawyer, and she is an adjunct associate professor of law at Southwestern Law School. So, she became from an actress to a lawyer. Yeah, that's a different position altogether. But at least she did something well for herself, and improved. So, and then we have Angela Watson, who played Karen Foster, another sister. The only thing I had on her was still acting. She's also singing and dancing. The only thing else I had on her was she had a son this last year on June 22nd of 24. So she's a brand new mom. And I mean, so that's pretty much all I had on her. Then we have Christine, and I'm gonna say this wrong, but it's either Lakin or Lakin. I've never actually heard her last name, but she's Al Lambert, another sister. She is now directing shows. She's a choreographer, if I could say it right. And she's still acting and doing voice acting. So she's still out there doing that. Then we have Christopher Castile, who plays Mark Foster, one of the brothers. He is now a political science professor at Biola University in La Mirada, California. He also teaches U.S. history at Downey High School, and he is completely retired from acting. So, yeah, he's definitely helping society and a real person while because he's teaching. So, and I don't know. Anyway, he's retired acting. That's all I know. and then And then we have Josh Byrne, who played Brendan Lambert. He does voice acting in various video games. He raises awareness for brain injuries. And in 1993, he actually cycled across the United States to raise awareness and money for various brain injury and rehab groups. So, that's him doing a good cause and charity work. So, that's good to hear. And then the last one we have, now I didn't write it down, but I have read about it. But Sasha Mitchell, who was Cody Lambert, he was the nephew of Frank, the cousin of the kids. He actually got removed from the show for a certain time period because he was accused of criminal activity. I cannot exactly remember what the activity was. I think it was assault, but he got removed from the show for accusations of, I think, assault. And then when they did the season finale, he finally showed back. They allowed him to show back up on the show. So, and if he actually did it, I hadn't seen anything on there that he was actually guilty of it. It was just all accusations. But even if he was guilty of it, good for him for turning his life around. I mean, he's a father of 4 now. He's a certified welder and he's a computer engineer. So, definitely if that happened in the past, he definitely, did better by turning his life around. And, he was actually my favorite on the show. Because, my older brother was kind of like him in a way. Growing up, I looked up to him, and because he was from California, I thought this, he was pretty cool. Well, Cody Lambert, Sasha Mitchell, I kind of looked up to him too because I thought he was cool. He could get the girls, things like that, and so yeah, he was actually one of my favorites on the show, and so I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all I have for them. And you, what was that?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, or I was going to ask you, since you have seen that show, who was one of your favorites, if you can remember?
I thought it was cool hearing that one of them had just had a normal job. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, the working at his parents' gas station. But who was one of your favorites watching the show when you were watching it?
I didn't really have a favorite per se. Who was yours?
And that's all right too. That's cool. Anyway, so that's that show. And then again, when we do another show, we'll have another show to talk about. Wow, that was interesting how I did that. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and move on to movie facts. Usually we're doing TV. We do TV facts. Sometimes every once in a great while we'll do, an actor fact, facts about an actor or actress. But here's where we're going to go into
Movies.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about movie facts. About Val Kilmer. A couple movies that he was in. So I mean, the first one was Tombstone. Now I'm gonna say this. Back in last year in March and again in August, I went down to Arizona where my parents and my daughter live. and ended up going down there to visit. And one of the places that we ended up going to was Tombstone, Arizona. They have movie sets from different movies. I mean, Young Guns 2 and Tombstone the movie, things like that. They but that's where a lot of the set was done, where the movie was done, was in Tombstone, Arizona. So I was able to see the sets, see the grave site where some of the people back in the Western times were buried there. It's an amazing place, and if if you ever end up in Arizona, that's one place to see. Anyway, back to I started going on a rant here, but anyway, so Val Kilmer, this is surprising a little bit, but he lost 30 pounds just to play his part as Doc Holliday. He was kind of like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey,
the method acting.
He what?
The method acting where he really got into his role.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was just like Jim Carrey. Really focused, really, wanting to feel like he was that person. So when you have Val Kilmer losing that much weight, 30 pounds just to play a part, he wanted to be that part. He wanted to be what Doc Holliday was like back then. So, and that's difference between good acting and great acting. Is the fact that if you're an actor or an actress and you play a certain part, good acting, you know the lines, you do well. Great acting is you get inside the head of the character and you feel what that character is actually thinking and what that character does. And that's one thing that Val Kilmer did, was he got, just like Jim Carrey, just like a few other people, they think about, like Will Smith has done. They go and they think about what their character was like, if it was a made-up character, what their character would do. It's Leonardo DiCaprio is another one that does that. So anyway, Val Kilmer did it. Lost 30 pounds to play Doc Holliday, and he did a great job at it. Another thing about another fact about Tombstone, Billy Bob Thornton, and you know who that is.
Yeah.
Okay, so Billy Bob Thornton, he actually ad-libbed the scene. There's a scene in there. I don't know if you've seen it, Chris. Have you seen Tombstone?
No.
Really? Well, it's one you've got to watch. Definitely something you need to watch when you have time. But anyway, Billy Bob Thornton's on there. He ad-libbed a scene, and spoiler alert, just to let you know. But where he gets slapped by Kurt Russell. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but I do remember Kurt Russell actually slapping Billy Bob Thornton in that movie. So, and that scene was ad-libbed. So that's awesome right there. Writers will actually let you ad-lib certain things in movies if it's good enough. And then here's another thing that I thought was awesome. There is a grave marker in the cemetery, which I have seen while I was down there. The graves, the tombstone, the gravestone has a quote, and it says, "Here lies Lester Moore, 4 slugs from a 44, no less no more. So they're saying, well, Lester's gone. There's no Les. So, and there's no more Les. So I thought it was funny. I liked it. And it is, and it's like I said, I've seen it. I've seen that Tombstone. I saw others that were fun. They were trying to be funny on it, but people were actually buried there. And like I said, it's a real life tombstone in Tombstone, Arizona, on display, and it's been on display for 60 years. So, a lot of history in that city.
Mm-hmm.
And then another awesome thing is the movie made $73.2 million worldwide. So back then it was a lot of money. So they did very well with that movie.
Definitely.
And it was ranked number 16 on the list of highest grossing films in the Western genre since 1979. So that is a huge honor right there when you're hitting number 16 from 1979. So I think that was awesome. And then the last thing I had about Tombstone was Willem. I don't know if you know who I know you know who this is, Chris. Willem Dafoe.
I've heard the name, I think.
He was the Green Goblin in Spider-Man 2, I believe. 1 or 2. 1. In Spider-Man 1, he was the Green Goblin.
Okay.
With Tobey Maguire. Anyway, Willem Dafoe was actually supposed to play Doc Holliday. Which honestly, I don't think I could imagine Willem Dafoe doing it. But he was supposed to play Doc Holliday. Then a movie 5 years before came out. And the movie was called The Last Temptation of Christ. Well, there was controversy with that movie, and it did pertain and have Willem Dafoe in the middle of that controversy. So they went ahead and decided to choose Val Kilmer to do the role because they didn't want the controversy from William Dafoe again. So, and like I said, Val Kilmer made a better Doc Holliday than Willem Dafoe would have done.
Yeah.
And then Mickey Rourke was supposed to play a character on the movie called Johnny Ringo, and he ended up turning it down, which, it's funny how I sit here and I see all these actors who turn down parts in big blockbuster movies because they don't think that it would be a good movie or that they're going to make enough money off these movies. So they turn them down, and then they end up kicking themselves in the butt later when they find out how much money these movies are making.
Yeah.
So, it's funny how Mickey Rourke, and you know who Mickey Rourke is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny how Mickey Rourke ended up turning the part down, and look how much money they made off that movie. So, and then we got Christy Wilson on here commenting. Hi, Christy. How's it going? She said Val Kilmer was, in her opinion, very underrated as an actor. I definitely agree. He was very underrated. And, even with Batman Forever, I'm going to bring this up for a minute. Batman Forever, people have their opinions of, and James has brought it up in the past, people have their opinion of which Batman movie was the greatest. You have Val Kilmer doing Bruce Wayne. You have Ben Affleck doing Bruce Wayne. You have Adam West doing Bruce Wayne. People have their own opinion about which Batman movie was the greatest, which Batman Bruce Wayne was the greatest. Mine was Val Kilmer. And I know maybe James is going to end up seeing this. I don't know, but
will,
and he's
he will.
probably going to laugh at it. But it is the honest truth. I thought that Batman Forever was better than any others that's come out, and I'm going to stick with it. So
And I'm sure too that there's a lot of people that are like, I don't care who it is per se, as long as they don't mess it up too much.
yeah, I have my opinion of who I think shouldn't have been Batman. But
As long as they don't steer too far off,
well,
of Batman. But
I thought Ben Affleck was the worst Batman, but that's my opinion. So, and then, my fiance Sarah is on here. She said Val Kilmer was a great Batman. He absolutely was. And then she had a crush on Val growing up. I know. He wasn't a bad looking guy either. He really wasn't. Good looking guy. So anyway, now that I went back on a tangent, then the other movie that I have a few facts about, the movie The Doors. Have you seen that?
what was it?
The Doors?
No.
The Doors is a movie about, it's a biopic about the band in the 70s, I think, 70s, 80s, with the lead singer Jim Morrison, but the band being The Doors. They had a few good hits.
Okay. I've heard the band, I think.
Yeah. The one song that I really like from them is Light My Fire. I believe that's I'm blanking at the moment, but I believe that's the song, Light My Fire. But like I said, it's a biopic about the Doors band. And Val Kilmer played the character Jim Morrison. So, anyway, he killed it. He did an awesome job in that movie too. But a few of the facts I have about this one, Val Kilmer dedicated 6 months getting ready for the role of Jim Morrison. Again, him getting into the head and idea of how Jim Morrison did things, how he, sang, how Jim Morrison dealt with his band. But it took him 6 months to be just like Jim Morrison. I almost said John Morrison. Too much wrestling. But Jim Morrison. And then Christy says, the first Val Kilmer I ever saw was Real Genius. Sarah said, I grew up on 70s and 80s movies, so Val, Patrick Swayze, David Bowie, guys from that era were my crushes first. And then Sarah says Top Gun was hers. So, on top of that, not only did it take 6 months to get into that mind frame of Jim Morrison, he also learned 50 Doors songs and recorded vocals so convincing that I believe he was the producer of either the movie or the record label. I can't remember which one I read. He actually thought that Val Kilmer was Jim Morrison. Again, just like Jim Carrey, especially when he pulled off getting inside the mind of Andy Kaufman and acting like he's actually Andy Kaufman back from the dead. Val Kilmer did the same thing with Jim Morrison. And so, and that's what Val Kilmer did. So people, even the band, when they heard him do his vocals for some of the songs, they actually thought it was Jim Morrison singing. And then Sarah says, Dragon Viper, your status still says you love me. Yeah. I loved it. And then another one I have is Val Kilmer. Oh, this is funny. So Val Kilmer, I don't know if it's funny, but anyway, Val Kilmer broke his arm badly because there's a scene in there where, as Jim Morrison, he jumps off the stage into a crowd, do the crowd surfing type thing where people pass you around. They go and he jumps off the stage, and a stuntman was supposed to catch him. Well, the stuntman didn't catch him, and he fell on the ground. He severely broke his arm. So Val Kilmer had a broken arm. And then I don't remember the next movie he was in, but you could tell in that movie he had an abnormal growth on his right elbow. So the next movie after The Doors that he was in, you could see that growth on his arm, on his elbow. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And then let's see. Another one I have was the fact here's what I'm saying. Not only actors passing up the chance to make money on blockbuster movies, but film film producers, and like Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese. They had the option to be able to produce and deal with this movie. They turned it down. They didn't like the idea. Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese. There was I can't remember the other producer, but or director. I guess it's director or producer. But they turned it down. They didn't want nothing to do with it. They didn't think that it would make money. It was worth, they didn't think it was worth it. So they turned it down. Oliver Stone actually picked it up. So I bet just like, actors that miss out on big opportunities, I bet the producers and directors were kicking themselves in the butt because they passed up a big movie. So they lost out on all that money, and I think they ended up getting an award. I can't remember, but so anyway, that's a few facts I've got about those two movies. I had to do it because Val Kilmer were in it. And like I said at the beginning, I don't know if Christy heard it, but we're kind of throwing a few Val Kilmer things in remembrance of him. Yeah. So, anyways, and I do have a question for you, and I'm sure you read it when I sent it to you. But thinking about all the wrestlers in TV or movies. I mean, you've got China in comedy shows like not in Living Color. It was Mad TV. You have The Rock in several movies now, where he's become a big, huge blockbuster star. Same with John Cena. The Undertaker in a movie or two. He was in a TV show. Sable was in a couple TV shows. Anyway, so you have all these wrestlers in TV and movies. My question to you, it's actually a two-part question. First one is, which top 3 movies with wrestlers in them did you like? And I'll actually ask you that first before I ask the other question. Mm-hmm. So which top 3 movies did you like the wrestlers in? Like the name of the movies.
Waterboy was one.
With Big Show?
Yeah. Oh, Show. I think there's a couple other wrestlers in that one too, besides Big Show. I guess anything with The Rock. we'll go with that. trying to think of who else. Uh, I guess Cena.
Okay. Yeah, and so I have seen a lot of movies with wrestlers in it. And you know, I Longest Yard had what 2-3 wrestlers in it. You had MacGruber that had about 6-7 wrestlers in it. But my top 3 are pretty much what was it? My top 3 was like Walking Tall, which had The Rock in it. So now I'm gonna probably get laughed at for this, but I'm gonna say Suburban Commando with Christopher Lloyd and Shelley Duvall, because The Undertaker was actually in it. He was a bounty hunter.
That would make sense.
Going after Hulk Hogan, who was in that movie. So, and had a little squeaky voice when he said something, which was hilarious. Undertaker having a squeaky voice, high pitched voice saying something. I thought that was pretty funny. So, I like that one. And then you have John Cena in the Marine. You also have The Rock and Gridiron Gang. You have and then TV, you have all these, like I said, China was on Mad TV. China and Sable, well, not China, but Sable was in Pacific Blue. Undertaker was in a horror TV show back in the 90s. So I mean, not only do they act in WWE, but obviously they're good actors on TV and movies. Second question on that is, who would you like to see in a new movie or a TV show? What wrestler? Any genre or any era. I was gonna try and say this era, but I'll open it up to any era.
Any era. That's hard because I know a lot of them have done stuff like that.
I mean, I know Roman was in a movie with The Rock. Batista was in a couple movies. Bret Hart was on Mad TV. That was funny. I like that one. The Rock and Mankind and Triple H being on Saturday Night Live, and the Big Show being on there. So, but yeah, if they had a movie that was coming out, who would you? You know what? Let's make it a little easier. Let's do this era.
LA Knight.
LA Knight.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would have to actually go and say somebody like, well, I'd say Diamond Dallas Page, but Diamond Dallas Page was in a movie. He was in something Rejects. Devil's Rejects. He was in that movie. This era, I'd have to say, wow, there's not a lot of wrestlers I like right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there really isn't much I like. If I were to choose one, I'd have to say, wow, this is tough. You know what? Let's just go with LA Knight. I'm not a big fan of his, but I would like to see him in a movie.
I'm surprised you didn't say Orton.
Because Orton's been in a movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Orton was in the Marine 3.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was number 3.
I think Cena was 2.
Cena was 1. Ted DiBiase Jr. was 2. I think Orton was 3. And then the Miz, or he was 4. And then the Miz was 3. But yeah, so I believe he was in one of the Marine movies. And then we have Brandon Herrera commenting and being a little smart like he usually is. Just kidding, Brandon. You're awesome. Anyway, Brandon says, "What's up, Christopher Mabry and the C2C stealer of bits, Dragon Viper? I am not stealing anything, Brandon. I don't know what you're talking about. Again, do I have to mention this? That your show and our show is completely different. We are not stealing your material." Brandon says Kevin Nash was Super Shredder and Trolls 2. Yeah, I do remember that.
He was also, or maybe that was someone else. Someone else. I can't think.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and I always seem to forget that. I don't know why. And then Brandon says Matt Riddle should be in movies. No, he shouldn't. He should be away from the camera completely because he has no business being in front of a camera. Although Brandon knows how much I do not like Riddle. Anyway, moving on. But so we're gonna go to one of our favorite parts, or our favorite subject. We're gonna go to celebrity birthdays. Now let's see how many times you can get close to their age.
$1. I'm just kidding.
Brandon Herrera says Ready to Rumble had many wrestlers. Yeah, it did. Although I thought it was a lousy movie anyways.
I can't remember who it was, but I think in the first Spider-Man somebody was in it.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen Spider-Man, but and then the wrestler, you have Mickey Rourke playing a wrestler, and I'm spacing, but there is a wrestler in that movie too. I think it was R-Truth. And then Sarah says, "Let's go, Bacon. I'm gonna win celebrity birthdays."
Okay.
And I'm just saying right now, she has no idea either what their ages are. So anyway, so starting off with Steve Gatlin from the Gatlin brothers back in the 70s and 80s. That's who it was. Randy Savage was in Spider-Man. Now I remember.
Okay, that's right.
So, how old is Steve Gatlin? I was hoping my mom would watch this because she probably would know.
I'm gonna say 50. I'm gonna say 50.
Actually, 74.
Okay.
So, and then I threw this out there because again I thought my mom would see this, but we have a country singer named Clay Davidson. He had one big number one hit called Unconditional, and it was actually really good. And he went bald. He used to have long hair, and now he's bald. Anyway.
Sorry. What are we talking?
Clay Davidson.
I'm going to say 48.
Nope. Although you're closer than Sarah was. 54. And Brandon said 69. I'm afraid I'm not going there. Anyway, then we have, everybody knows this guy, Robert Downey Jr. Mr. Iron Man himself.
Uh, 78.
Okay, you do know who Robert Downey Jr. is, right?
Yes, yes.
No. He just turned 60. Brandon says 169. Really? Wow. That's some pretty far-fetched guesses here. And then we have David Cross. Now, David Cross, have you seen Men in Black 2?
I've seen the first one. And I remember kind of seeing the second one.
Okay, the second one had David Cross in it. David Cross was the nerd guy that was trying to get the Men in Black to watch or watch this video. They were what was it? Yeah, the guy was trying, and then the guy was supposed to take his friend or that one girl to Cambodia to get $1 lobster dinner. In fact, I think if I remember correctly, he was also in 1 or 2 as a guy that works in the morgue. But anyway, I do know that he was in 2, that showed the Men in Black a video from the past. I don't know if you remember or if you've seen that part, but
let's see, that was what, in the 90s or something like that.
Early 2000s.
Okay. 58.
Nope. Brandon says 18. No, Brandon, you're way off.
Whoa.
Actually, Sarah was closer. 61. And then
Okay.
we have Craig T. Nelson. He was the main character in the TV show Coach back in the 90s, and he was also in My Name is Earl as the warden. I don't know if you've seen either
I remember
show.
watching that show.
My Name is Earl?
I haven't heard. Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Oh, that was a good show. Basically, the premise was he did a bunch of things wrong in his life, and he's trying to make it up.
I saw Coach, but I didn't see My Name is Earl.
I'm gonna say 70. I don't know.
How old?
Enough.
I'm gonna say 70.
Actually, he turned 81. So Sarah said 80. Brandon said 75. Sarah said, I love that show. And Coach is good too. So, man, Chris, you're like way. And then we have James Rodney Rodriguez, who was Sean Spencer on Psych. So if you ever watched Psych, which I know John Cena was advertised as a character for one episode on that show. Sean Spencer was one of the guys that was a guest star with his partner on Monday Night Raw one night. Anyway. It was the white guy.
I'm gonna say 60.
No, Chris. No, he turned 49. So, yeah. Anyway, so next up we've got Hugo Weaving. He was Elrond, Lord of Rivendell on Lord of the Rings. So if you watch Lord of the Rings, you know who that is. I never watched it.
I've watched it, but I didn't know who that was. So I'm gonna go 59.
Actually, you were close now on this one. 65.
Yay! Okay.
Brandon says 69. He was actually close this time too. And then the last one for today before we do the ones for tomorrow, the one and only Britney Spears' sister, Jamie Lynn Spears.
Who was it?
Jamie Lynn Spears. She is Britney Spears' sister.
Yeah. She was also a Nickelodeon star too.
Yeah, I think I remember something about that.
I'm gonna say she's 45. I could be way off.
Actually, yeah. She just turned 34. All right, and then moving on to for tomorrow birthdays. I don't know if you remember. Brandon Herrera said 27. Yeah. No.
Well, that's
And
why
then
when
Sarah
they
says
2
Nick-
years older, that's why I'm like, no.
And then Sarah says Nick and Disney, Nickelodeon and Disney. I think until she became a teen mom. So
Yeah. And then they're like, we don't want you now.
yeah, because that was bad publicity on that at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have for tomorrow. You might know this song, I don't know, or the singer, but Paula Cole. She's saying "I Don't Want to Wait." She also sang "Where the Cow" or something about "Where My Cowboys Are" or something like that. But anyway,
Yeah,
she 90. I'd say 96, 97 pop singer.
I'm gonna say
R&B singer.
I'm gonna say 58.
Actually, you're very close. 57.
Yes.
So you were off by one. Wow, Chris. And Sarah says, and now that song is stuck in my head. Sorry about that. And again, I thought my mom would be on here, but she's not. I did Pat Green, who is a country singer. I think she would know who that was.
I'm gonna go 68.
Way off.
Yeah,
Sarah's closer. 53. And then we have Pharrell Williams, who was
Man, I haven't
in
heard
the
his name in a
song
while.
Happy, huh?
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, he was in the song Happy with Bruno Mars. He was in Blurred Lines with Robin Thicke.
I didn't know he was in that one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 50.
You're close. 52.
Okay. $1.
Yeah, Sarah's saying it's a disgusting song. Actually, it kind of is.
Yeah.
And then we have a few WWE wrestlers. Dominic Mysterio, the one that I cannot stand, that if certain people were here, they'd be chanting Rey Mysterio right now.
37. I'm going to say 37.
Wait, what?
I don't know. Is he older?
Did you just say 37?
I don't know.
28.
Okay. I know not to say the first number in my head.
Oh, Sarah says, got to give everyone a chance to guess. Remember, our lives lag from yours. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So, anyway, yeah, Dom, 28. Then we have Charlotte Flair.
I'm going to say she's 33.
Actually, she's 39.
I'm not too far off. I'll take it.
Did you and speaking of Charlotte Flair, did you hear about her getting divorced
Yeah.
on
Yeah, I
Andrade?
did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read an interview about her saying how much it's hurting her and she didn't want to do it, but she did anyway.
Yeah, and yeah. So.
Sarah says she's gonna hate me. Well,
Hey, while we're on the topic of wrestlers' birthdays, I got a clip of you and Riddle.
oh come on! Oh jeez. I would never have Riddle on my TV.
No.
I bet if Brandon was still sitting here, he'd be laughing about it. Oh my God. What?
Mm.
Wow. Wow. All righty. And like I said, if Brandon was watching, he'd be all over on that. Thanks, Chris. Then we have, moving on, then we have Diamond Dallas Page. DDP.
He could be at WrestleMania this year.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Of course, Sting might be too. So, might be.
Yeah, no, I think that's less of a chance than DDP would be.
True. I know he had to retire young.
Yeah. Well, plus he's already mentioned on TV that he started late. He was one of the oldest people to ever start.
Mm-hmm. I would say he's 65.
I'm waiting for a moment.
But yeah, I mean,
actually, he will be 69. So Brandon, if Brandon was on here, he would have actually guessed correctly because he kept saying 69. So, and then we have, I don't know if you heard this guy, but Judge Greg Mathis, or he would go by Judge Mathis.
He wasn't it what family court or divorce court? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was divorce.
One of them. And speaking of TMZ, Harvey Levin was one of the interviewers.
Huh.
Mm. I would say 70. I could be wrong.
You're close.
Okay, good.
Sarah's closer. She said 68. It's actually 65. And Sarah says, yeah, talking about Brandon, he just pops in to harass you, then leaves. Yes. That's what we do here. We have fun on this, network and this show. So, and then the last birthday I have for tomorrow is Mitch Pileggi, which I can't pronounce his last name right. He is one of the bald guys on Sons of Anarchy, Sons of Anarchy is one of my favorites. I've got a poster hanging up that, of that show, but he is one of the bald guys that is kind of like a bad guy that they take care of throughout the seasons.
I'm gonna say 50.
He would like you. He
Uh-oh.
like both of you. Actually, 73. So he's older than I thought he was, honestly. And so that's all the birthdays for today that I've got.
Well, to all of them, happy birthday.
Yep, happy birthday for the next couple days. And so we're going to go ahead and move on to our 10 or less topics. So we're on our last topic of the evening, 10 or less. And of course, Chris, you'd mentioned earlier, gave it away that one of the topics is Val Kilmer movies.
Hey, I didn't say which one. We talked a lot about Val Kilmer. I didn't say which one.
Exactly. So Val Kilmer movies. Sarah says saying he's one of the bald guys doesn't help. Well, I'm well aware. He's one of them. That could be young or 40.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're anyway. Yeah, she's laughing because I'm starting to go bald, but we're not getting into that. I'm only 40, but anyway. So Val Kilmer movies. Go ahead and start, Chris.
So I got Willow, The Ghost in the Darkness, Tombstone, The Doors, Top Secret, Heat, Real Genius, The Saint, Batman Forever, Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. Well, that's pretty much it. That's a big jump from Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick.
Well, yeah, look at the years.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot, but that's why it's called 10 or less. I have The Island of Dr. Moreau. That was a good movie. I have, and my top four, because I have 5 altogether. So my top 4 was really close on which one would be the first. But I have Top Gun. I have The Doors. I have Batman Forever as the second top. And the number 1 is Tombstone. Sarah says her dad was 18 when he became bald. And then she says Willow was one of the most amazing movies. Never seen it. And then she forgot about one of the movies that was mentioned. So, yeah, and that's the Val Kilmer movies that I have. Again, I'm probably going to get laughed at as Batman Forever was one of my top favorites from him. So, and then moving on to our actress, Drew Barrymore. My list is a little bit longer, so go ahead and, if you have one, Chris, go ahead and start yours off.
So on my list of Drew Barrymore movies, which now she's a talk show host.
Which is weird.
It is weird. But number 10 is Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. Riding in Cars with Boys, I guess. Ever After. Scream. I did not know this. E.T.
Really? You did not know she was in E.T.?
I didn't.
Wow.
The Wedding Singer. Charlie's Angels, and 51st Dates. That's pretty much it.
That's a good list. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked because E.T. was one of
I've seen E.T., but
yeah, that's when she was really young.
that's probably why.
It was like her second or third movie of all time when she first started. So, my list, I have He's Just Not That Into You. I have Fever Pitch, Duplex, Donnie Darko, Never Been Kissed, Scream, 51st Dates, The Wedding Singer, Batman Forever, because she was one of the, she was the angel in that movie that would stand next to Jim Carrey as the Riddler. And then I also have Wayne's World 2, and of course E.T. Like I said, she, it was like the second or third movie ever that she's been on, and that's where she got her start for the most part. So, and then moving on, because we're way over time. Holy moly!
Okay.
But we've been having fun. So, and then our final one, top 10 or less list is Celine Dion. Mine's short, so I'll go ahead and start it off. I have My Heart Will Go On, which, is a big one for a lot of people. It's All Coming Back to Me Now. The Power of Love. That's the Way It Is. And Because You Love Me. Didn't have a full 10 again, but whatever. So go ahead with yours.
Okay, so with mine, we have I'm Alive, All by Myself. That's the Way It Is. It's All Coming Back to Me Now. Where does my heart beat now? Because You Love Me. Beauty and the Beast. To Love You More. The Power of Love. And My Heart Will Go On.
Yeah, that's a really good list. I mean, there's a lot that I really haven't heard from with her yet, but she is a multi record seller, as well as she's Canadian, and really has a really powerful voice and sings really well. So anyway, well, I think that's pretty much it for tonight. Is there anything you would add? In fact, yeah, have your final words, I guess you can say.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. We also have on the 17th another interview with the St. Paul Bears head coach. That'll be with Big B as well on the 17th at 1:00 Central Time. So stay tuned for that. We have our March Madness championship watch along on Monday. And then we'll also have the draft and maybe WrestleMania stuff going on. So big stuff for the network. Tune in. We'll see you guys next week for another entertainment hour.
That sounds good. Yeah, and can't wait for WrestleMania to come.
Yeah,
so
be good.
Anyway, yeah, just I want to thank everybody for commenting. Between Sarah and Brandon and Christy, I want to thank everybody for commenting. And I, depending on how busy this week gets, we'll have another episode next week. If not, then we'll see you when we come back on. So I hope everybody has a good night and have a good weekend.